Right.
Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. We got Ben from Fitties FC. We've spoken about him before. He's the one that's contemplating quitting Supercoach and not having the best year. So welcome, Benny.
Yes, thank you very much, Hippo. Times are tough at the moment, and who knows? Had you have not invited me onto the show, there's every chance that the app wasn't getting reinstalled. I must say, times are tough. It's football hasn't been on too good. The footy hasn't been too good to me this year. The Tigers suck. I'm last in the tipping. My Supercoach is probably the worst of all of it, if it didn't already sound good.
Yeah, so we'll bring up the league, actually. We got a couple of cash leagues. I don't know how many cash leagues you're in. I'm only in the two, and I think you're in both.
I'm in, I think, a third or a fourth, actually. I've lost count.
How are you on that one?
I've put all the eggs in my Supercoach basket, but our ones are the highest valued ones, so that's for sure.
Yeah, okay. That's
generally speaking, I'm pretty reliable to win at least one league, so
yeah. No, you have won this league before. Twice, is it?
Well, I'll call it a 2.5, Pete, because there were 2 in a row, and then I lost to one of the Herald Sun blokes in the final one year. So I don't know if you count that.
Oh, I probably can't count that, to be honest. Actually, no, I probably would count it.
Who are some of those Herald Sun blokes? Was it Dr. Supercoach? Was that one of them?
I reckon it would have been the Phantom.
That might have been it. Yeah. That might have been the Phantom got me one year.
It was probably a bit of a sweat when we were all pretty shit. But yeah, so your ranking is 55k.
Nice. Which I'll tell you what, I think that doesn't justify where my team's at. I feel like the actual all right, you show them a team there, and
I don't think it looks that bad, honestly. Like, if you hadn't a captain too, you're probably looking at like a 2-1, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. Like, I was this close to doing Bont VC, but that that could have changed everything. And yeah, I just don't know. Oh no, but what I was going to say was, after I do my trades this week, my team does look a lot healthier.
Much better. Yeah,
it really does look a lot healthier after this week. Got to get rid of the frauds. Yeah. The fraud rookies on field. That's number one priority for me. Liam Jones, hack. He's probably on Hippo's hit list. If he isn't, he just about will be soon.
Yeah, he's unfortunately still in my team. So
really,
yeah, it's devastating the fact that I have to hold that mutt. But yeah, it's what it is.
I've just realised you haven't got. I went to watch the Richmond versus Melbourne game. As I said before to the listeners, I'm a Richmond fan. And I just about want to trade Van Rugen, whatever his name is, literally, because I've still got echoes in my head. Roo!
Yeah.
He seriously, the second, what was it, Wednesday morning he was traded. Well, he wasn't actually traded because I didn't have the app because I was so angry and sad. But when I got the app, when I got the app back, I wanted to trade him.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Like, I don't really take Carlton's losses too personal anymore. I used to, before I was really into Supercoach. Like, I reckon from 2008 to maybe 16 or 17, I was writing every loss. I would be so emotional if we lost. Like, the way I am with Supercoach, I was like that with Carlton. It was just devastating. And I just I always used to think oh, what if we changed this about our game plan? What about this? Or what if this player came in? I was like, what am I doing thinking about this shit? It's not worth it. So yeah, I'd actually hate when Carlton lose anymore because I'm just so used to the heartbreak, I think. Whereas you've tasted some success, you're probably hungry for a bit more.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, we'll get more into Supercoach. So the state of your team, I think it seems worse than what it is. It's annoying that we've had to trade a few primos. I think this is my 7th primo I have to trade, talking about LDU. So anyone that doesn't know, LDU's are laid out. I think 7th in a row. So now I'm really starting to question if I can get full primo.
I think that's the difference between our two teams. I think I had all the frauds at the start. I picked your
Mm.
Flanders, Bruin. We
Yeah.
both had Bruin.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a specimen he was, eh?
Yeah, it's not really
Bruin,
his
and
fault,
then
but yeah.
I remember in the preseason you sent me a text message saying, "Bruin, lock, this guy's the next Chris Judd." They were the words.
Honestly, if you watch that, did you actually watch the that practice game against Brisbane?
I did
Trying to
did
find
not
it.
watch that game, but I just heard that he was Chris Judd, and so
He
I
looked
couldn't look
like Chris
past him.
Judd. Where is it? And like this was my logic with him. I'm not going to really justify it too much, but like he scored 112 from 19 touches. He had 7 tackles. I don't know if you can see this, but 11 of these 19 were contested. Pretty decent kick to handball ratio, 11 and 8. And I was just like, if this guy can do this from 19 touches against what we thought was the best mid in the competition, adding Dunkley and Ashcroft and whatnot, like why couldn't he do that in the real stuff? So if you look at the chat, I mean, everyone's getting hyped about Bruin, really. So yeah, to score 112 in a 50-point loss off 19 touches, I thought 300k, as long as he gets mid-time, what can go wrong? Like the logic still stands, I think, but obviously it didn't work out at all.
I think we need to moving forward, we definitely got to have less of an emphasis on these preseason games, because literally those games, most of the time, the roles they play in those games, they don't stand. Like Bruin literally had like, I wouldn't know, I didn't watch the game, but I'm going to assume he had heaps of CBAs.
Yeah, he
and
did.
Then literally you get to round 1 and he's playing centre half bench.
Yeah, I know. With no time on ground, and he's on the wing that the ball's not on. Like say there's a like a boundary throw in on one side of the ground, he'll be on the wing on the opposite side, and it's just like, oh man, it's torturous watching him play. But
yeah.
Anyway, we we'll try and move on from him because it just makes me sad to think about it. Because like the logic stands, like anyone that didn't pick him, if he actually did get that role, you'd be screwed if you didn't have him. It'd be like Will Brodie all over again. You know what I mean?
Or Nick Daicos maybe.
Not picking Nick Daicos, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if any of the community's heard about this, but Hippo and my friendship took a bit of a turn at one point when he was adamant that his biggest do not pick of the season was Nick Daicos. You cannot pick him, do not pick him. This guy is my biggest, like, I'm not going anywhere near him. So I'm listening to this guy and I'm taking it like the gospel, and I've thought, you know what, Hippo, I'm going to back him in. And I would have been fine with the pick not working, but the fact that he's fucking picked him, now I'm starting to think that maybe it is an undercover job. I'm not too sure. Maybe I'm starting to think that he cares about his ranking a little bit too much, and maybe a little bit more than his fans, because he really let me down there. He really let me down.
I completely agree.
I ended up getting Daicos in the week that Doherty went down, so I think I got him for like 550, and I'm looking at the screen now. He's 644 now, so I think if I didn't get him, maybe Doherty's injury was a blessing, really.
Yeah, I think I actually thought about bringing Doherty in this week, as dumb as it sounds. I thought about if that would look genius if he picked him and he just comes out and drops like a 150 or something against West Coast.
The break even's probably still pretty high though, I'd imagine.
It's 144. I had to look before, so
Hippo, I reckon undo your trades, Hippo, because I reckon you're gonna have some changes to the team you last had, just like most times we see your team. I think that the LDU news is shaking you up a little bit, and
these are my trades after
LDU. How did your trade plans change from what you originally had to now, given the LDU news?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to trade a Primo, so I was just going to add Sinclair in 2 trades. I flirted with the idea of this Sam Sturt guy. We'll talk about him in a minute. But, it was either going to be Sturt, Seamus Mitchell, and who's the other one? Oh, and a Primo, so like could be Oliver. or I would go just Sinclair and Seamus and go get rid of Wilmot. I mean, McKenna and Lockie Ash. So I was just going to do one up, one down, but now I have to sideways again for like literally the 6th week in a row. So the team's going nowhere. It's just changing primos every week.
Is there any news on the time frame or the timeline rather that he's going to be out for?
No, there's not. But to me, it looked like he's playing through something. I've never watched him that closely, but have you seen him the last few weeks? It doesn't even look like he wants to chase anyone.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you reckon pretty soon to when you traded him in, he looked like he's been carrying something, and I guess this injury's come up now, so I guess it proves that pretty true, you'd imagine.
Yep. So it was initially a calf, and now it's a heel. So weird, but seems like he's going to be a bit injury prone, and yeah, it could be a blessing really having to trade him, because if he's just going to be a slow burn, or if he's going to be pumping out 70s all year, like I'd probably never trade him until like once he hits like 500. What's the point trading someone like that? They've lost all their value. So that could have been a problem, but I guess you got to look at it both ways. It's shit, but it could also be a good thing to get rid of him now.
No, definitely.
So we'll talk about Sheezel and Phillips. So Sheezel, where do you sit with him? So found out last night he only had the 0 CBA, 0 kick-ins. I didn't watch him too closely. What do you think?
No, I didn't actually catch this North game, but I mean, we always knew that Aaron Hall was going to come in and affect somebody. Yeah. A lot of people thought it would be Zeeble, but it seems to be that Sheezel has copped it the most. But it sounds like there's a few variables, like he was carrying a bit of an injury, a bit of a niggle. His role changed a bit. Apparently, and you were telling me he even copped a tag at some point.
Yeah, so he had Holman go to him.
So I think there's enough there that you got to give it another week, maybe even 2, and maybe he's not going to be the keeper that we thought he would be. But regardless, you're going to be able to sell him for 400k plus, which for a rookie that's gold.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back, because obviously he hasn't had a bad game yet. So it was always coming. Bit scummy to tag him, really. Like when you think about it, to tag a guy that's, you could say he's damaging, but he's not the most damaging. Like there's a lot of cheap touches in there. It's not like he's playing like, an inside mid or something.
I have completely fucked that. Are we still on?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I clicked off the internet I turned my internet off for a second, and it nearly turned into a disaster. But
okay. No, I think it's still working all good. Basically what I said is I don't know. I think it's scummy to tag Sheezel. I don't think he's that effective, or damaging, I should say. But anyway, I just don't see too many tags coming his way. Like Melbourne, who's going to tag him from there? I think there'll be plenty of ball down there, and he should rack it up. And the kick-ins is the worry. That's the problem, where he lost all his kick-ins. So fuck Aaron Hall. Hopefully he gets injured.
Yeah, fuck. Although in saying that, we do love Aaron Hall. We were on the Aaron Hall train very early. Oh, yeah. We jumped on at the perfect time in his peak. We got him for like 300 and something K.
Yeah. I remember getting talked out of it, trying to be talked out of him by Evan. Some fellow in our league that
he's no good, that guy.
He was adamant on Aaron Hall being a trap, and ended up being, I think, D1 for the rest of the year as a 300k forward or 250k. I can't remember how much. He was dirt cheap. That's all I remember. And he was like it was a big 50-50 like Himmelberg last year. And he just pigged out, like completely pigged out. And the injury thing is the only worry with him, really.
For the community who don't know Evan, he's every single year he's known to miss the breakout of the year. So he missed Aaron Hall one year. I remember Christian Petracca when he was before he'd broken out, he was so anti-track, and tracks averaged like about 120. And I remember, and then Nick Daicos, he was on the no Nick Daicos train this year.
Was he?
He was.
To be fair, most were. Like, that was lucky, really. That was a very 50-50 pick. Like, if he did come out and get tagged hard, Because like it's the same thing. We went off the practice match in that, and then I just decided to ignore the practice match in the other one. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what I was thinking, but I explained it on that stream last night with the Centre Bounds. I just thought, look, if Dawson's going to get tagged, Stewart's going to get tagged, Sicily's going to play lockdown, Sinclair's going to get tagged. There's no good options, or there's no clear options. So why not pick that one with the most upside, who probably is Nick Daicos? You know, he's got the natural progression, he's got big preseason reps, whatnot. So yeah, that was my logic to pick Daicos in the end. It happened very late, and I should have told more people that I was going to do it.
That's okay. I guess I accept your apology.
Yeah, that is a formal apology for everyone that didn't pick him because of me. But I do think that most of the content creators were off him as well, from memory. I think pretty much everyone had to bring him in.
Yeah, everyone got him in pretty early, that's for sure. The signs were there that you needed him.
Yeah. So what about Will Phillips? Are you thinking about getting rid of him, or?
So I've got Phillips. Is there a way of showing my screen, or nah? It's not. If not, it doesn't really matter. I can just explain it.
Try and add it to what you did last time. Try and add it again. I'll get his numbers up now anyway. Still made 111k. So even if he doesn't make another cent, it's still a good pick, I think. I think 111k is probably good. Yep, I'll add this to stream. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Awesome. So pretty much. This is my. I'll undo my changes.
So I can only see not too much of the screen. You can see like your mid and most of your forward line, and it's not like showing the full screen, if that makes sense. Not that it matters, but
yeah, how do you bloody do that? It's
command minus or control minus, I think zooms out. Press that a few times, maybe. Yeah,
that's the one. All right. All right. Well, it's not letting me reverse. It's not letting me show my trades if I undo them. But pretty much, at this stage I've traded out Will Phillips, and I've gone Will Phillips down to so I went Will Phillips up to Cogs, and in the forward line, and I've gone Took to Walsh, and then I've brought in Seamus Mitchell for Liam Jones. So they're the trades that I've gone with this week, and that pretty much I sort of wanted to keep Phillips just because you and I were talking off video before that he looked like every bit the 300k, 350k rookie that we were looking for. And then just so quickly that changed that now all of a sudden he got subbed out and dropped. So
yeah, I think there's potential to be sub risk as well. Obviously he can be subbed out, but he also could start as a sub. So that's a worry. One thing I just noticed, you're trading out Liam Jones. Now, do you think it's better to trade Connor McKenna, who's one, more expensive, and two, has a basic more than double his break even with 62, whereas Jones has a 28 break even?
You see, I've got a bit of a theory on this. So I've been thinking about it, and I think that people are talking about Daniel Rich has affected Connor McKenna's scoring.
Yeah.
And yes, Connor McKenna has had 2 poor scoring weeks, but in round 1, I'm pretty sure McKenna scored like a 94, and then I'm pretty sure in round 3 he scored like an 80. So or 78 or something like that. So pretty much his highest scoring game and his third highest scoring game of McKenna, Daniel Rich played in both of those. So I don't think that's a very valid reason that people are thinking he's dropped off, because literally his highest scoring game and his third highest scoring game, Rich played in them matches. So I don't think that's a valid argument to get rid of him. So I reckon there's another spike game coming, and not even that, just I feel a lot safer fielding him. I know that the floor is going to be nowhere near the floor of Jones. Like you and I both know that Jones could pop out a 20 at any day and time. Like it looked like he was going to do it last week. Whereas I feel like McKenna's floor is about 50. So
the thing is, if Jones goes 80 again,
I just feel a lot safer on field, which he could do. But at the end of the day, I've got to sort of get rid of one of them to make these trades happen. for me to be able to get, because I do want to bring in, an elite primo mid for Took. So I
But that
think
would give you
but I
more,
was
wouldn't
pretty
it?
set on. I was
Uh,
pretty set on Walsh because I was thinking his ownership's kind of low because obviously he's only just started playing again, so his ownership's pretty low. And
Yeah.
not only that is like when I was watching him, my God, he just passed the eye test. Like he just looked like a freak. Like he is a freak. Like he was just everywhere. Like I don't know what his disposal count was in those 2 games that he played, but they would have been high.
Yeah, so we had 38 last week.
He was having like 12, 14. Like he had 14 disposals in the first quarter last week.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he had like 12 or something in the first quarter of the week before. So he's just gone crazy.
Yeah, no, I think I think Walsh is probably the one I want to bring in too, just because if you're going to get him, this is probably the best way to get him, just because he plays West Coast. So he's not only a good trade in, he's also probably a captain option and probably a safe 120 plus, I would think, if English doesn't work out or Bond. That's another thing. We'll talk about captain, vice captain later. But just quickly, do you think Bont is a good VC option with Connor Nash? Probably going to tag him with no liver.
You know what the annoying thing is that I think it's happened time and time again where we think these guys are going to get tagged and we talk tag. And it feels like very few teams in the league actually tag these days. And then they sort of just come up on you when you're least expecting them to. So I'd probably go for safety. And I mean, in your circumstance, you've got Tim English. That's pretty hard to look past.
Yeah. Like, who's he rucking against? Is it Ned Reeves?
I think Reeves, or who's the other guy? Teakle? Doesn't Teakle play for...
No, Teakle's Port.
Oh, fuck, not Port. Who's the... Used to play for Freo last season.
Lloyd Meek. I think he got dropped. Sorry. Maybe.
Oh, really? True. Okay.
I actually get that up because I'm not sure. Because if they're running a double ruck against English, it might... The thing with English is, right, even like Darcy had his way with him last week. Like he destroyed English in the hitouts, or in the hitouts to advantage. But English still went 130. So in a game where he's getting beat up in the ruck, it's like his floor's 130. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so, it's crazy. It's scary being a non-owner, that's for sure. But I think I'm still very happy that I didn't trade Sean Darcy because, like I said earlier, I just had so many issues like Bruin, Flanders, Steele. Bruin, Flanders, Steele all in the 1 week who had to go. And at the same time, I had this Sean Darcy, Tim English situation. And I was just thinking, like, I can't be holding Bruin, Flanders, or Steele over just to sideways Darcy to English. Like, it didn't seem worth it at the time. And seeing the way that Darcy's bounced back, like, I think that was definitely the right decision in the end.
Yeah, no, everyone that got it off Darcy, like, look pretty stupid now, really. Even if you went English, it's a bit sideways, I think. And yeah, having that extra trade might come back to bite those ones that traded Darcy. Like, you never know. If English goes down next week and Darcy plays the next 10 rounds averaging 130, then it's obviously a fail pick.
Yeah, no, I get you. Just whilst it's on my mind, because we brought it up before. So, Teakle, I incidentally brought him up before just because he was in my head, because you're looking at bringing him in next week, are you?
Probably for Radical.
Yes.
You'd have to
consider that trade,
If he's sole ruck, you have to consider it because you saw what Flynn did. These guys that aren't necessarily amazing players, if they're sole ruck, they're a good chance to average 90 plus. So if you miss out on someone like that, and if Lycett actually stays out of the team, it's going to hurt if you don't have him. He could make like 300K.
Yeah. So if you were looking at my team, for example, so I think it's still on screen. So because I like the looks of Teakle. Like if Teakle's going to pump out like another 80 plus, I think I'd be keen as to make that play. But it's just a matter of how am I actually going to make it happen? Like, am I better off? You're
going to have to get rid of McKenna for cash, I reckon, and then upgrade Madden.
Because I was thinking even like what if I was to downgrade Wilmot to say Sincotta, and then I could upgrade Madden. Like, is getting rid of Madden, who was originally meant to be in my loop, is that a thing that I should be doing, or should I be getting rid of one of these forwards and then subbing
DKP.
Madden into the forward and then bringing in the Ruck Teakle? Like, is getting rid of Madden a safe or smart thing to do, or do you think that
It seems
it would be
bad, I
smarter to
think.
get rid of them on the forwards?
Yeah, it seems bad, but I think you probably have to. I don't think Van Ruyen's scoring is going to slow down anytime soon. And you got to remember, if you're going to get Teakle, it's got to be next week. So someone's going to have to go that's going to have a relatively high break even. So I think Connor McKenna or Wilmot to Sincotta is a no-brainer. And then Madden to Teakle, provided no Lyset, provided semi-decent score this week. You probably have to. And you got Roberts as a loop for at least 10 weeks. And who knows about the other rookies? Like, they could all be dropped any time. So I think you're fine if you do that.
Yeah, that's the other thing moving forward. Like, I'm not going to be picking a loop in future seasons just because the rookies, you always get a rookie within the first 1 or 2 weeks that just gets dropped. Like, we had Constable this year, so
I forgot about him. He's another loop.
So right off the bat, you've all of a sudden you had one loop. Now you got 2 non-scoring players, and then you're going to be trading. And then as you go through the season, you get more rookies come in, and like we just saw with Roberts, he got injured. He was unfortunate, he got injured, but even so, without the injuries, job security was pretty dodgy, probably. So like now all of a sudden I've got like three non-scoring rookies. Oh, and Cowan managed, so that's like all of a sudden you got 4, and so the cash gen this year is pretty tough.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I agree. I think, are there any other primos you'd consider bringing in that's not Sam Walsh? Because I think with the top 8 mids, it's really hard to work out who's actually going to finish there. Like, you look at it now, I'm actually just going to jump on my screen real quick.
Yep, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, and then you get filter by average. Like, so you got Sarong at 6. I mean, Taranto's been really good. And LDU at 8, you probably don't think he's going to stay there. DeGoey's 9. You expect Laird and Neil to come good.
Yeah.
Josh Kelly's another one that has an injury game in there where he scored 80, was on track to go pretty big that game. He's probably really averaging more like a 113 if you take out that injury game.
Yeah,
like
Cripper's always every chance to come good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, who would you be picking out of these guys?
And it's a long season, you got to remember too. So are guys like Libba and Sarong really going to maintain this sort of average? Because
they've never done it before.
Yeah, well,
Libba especially, because he's been in the system for ages, and it's like Sarong's got upside. He's only like 21 or 22, and obviously he could be like a breakout. But Libba's the one that I think he just has to drop off a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I guess at the end of the day, though, they did lose Dunkley, so I guess there is something there that like there is, I guess, a bit more ball to go around for him and a bit more, maybe more CBA opportunities. So I guess there is that, but and I guess it has eaten into McRae. McRae's obviously seeing a lot less CBAs now, so there is a few things there that have gone his way to sort of maybe influence his average.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, okay. So what primos stand out to you to bring in? If you're not picking Sam Walsh, are you jumping on someone like a Will Day? Do you think he's going to be a top 8 defender? I think he could be, and I think my hand's sort of been forced to picking him now. Just based on price. So, yeah. What do you think about Will Day?
Honestly, like I just think that at this point, I've gone for Walsh because I think he's the safest, really. Like I think he's pretty bulletproof in my opinion. If he's not top 8, he's going to be 9 or 10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's going to run it close. And what primos? Look, I don't mind I don't actually mind the Zach Merritt pick. He's at a bit of a discount price. Like I got a feeling that, and I just remember his run home last year was so strong. But then again, I don't know what his break even is. What's Merritt's break even at the moment?
87. So yeah, probably is the way to jump on if you go.
Yeah, he is probably at a low point. Is that his scores from last season? Is it?
Yeah, look, 71 and 73. That doesn't really appeal. I think they might have been both tag games. I think he might have had Perryman and Drew. That's another thing about Merritt is he's a tag target.
How about the run before that though? There are quite a lot of 130s and 40s in there.
Yeah, no, he's a freak. And do they tag still with Parrish being good? I don't know. I think yes. I think still Merritt will cop that tag. It seems like teams just recognise Parish isn't as damaging as Merritt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, playing Port in 2 weeks, it's probably not... I don't think I'd bring him in until after that game at least. Just, he's probably going to get tagged.
Yeah. And Track, he's pretty cheap at the moment. I don't know if I'd be going him quite yet, but it seems like it seems like you're going to get him at a pretty good price, because we all know what he can do, and like he always has some pretty he always ends up getting that average back up. So he always seems to have a good run home. So I'd probably be looking at him at some point. But who am I kidding? Oliver. I don't even know why I'm talking about the other guys. Oliver's the one I'm targeting. Yeah, Oliver's going to be
break
real
even is so high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so obviously not for next week, and maybe not even the week after, but certainly either 2 weeks time or 3 weeks time, I'll be getting Oliver 100% because, well, I guess if you didn't initially pick him, you were waiting for a couple of these lower games to come in, and now we've got them. So, and he's still got a really easy run. So chances are he's going to have another 140, 50 coming in soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've sort of got to be prepared to get him in, maybe not next week, but the week after.
I'm planning next week. I think next week's the week where he probably bottoms out. I don't think he'll go much lower. Like his break even's 170. I mean, he could hit that against North. So
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think Oliver's probably not going to get any lower than 650. And if he does, well, I don't know. I think he's not going to get lower than 600, that's for sure, unless he has to have an injury game or like a really hard tag. And I still think teams, I don't know, like, are they going to go to Petrarca or Oliver, or do they just realise, nah, we can't really shut him? One of them's going to get off the leash if we tag one.
Yeah. Nah, well, I don't know. I think he's one that everybody has to have. Like he's like a must-have, and if you don't have him, well, then the time to get him, like the perfect time to get him, is going to be within the next couple of weeks because you're not going to get a better opportunity. Yeah. And if you don't get him, then you're probably just going to end up buying him for an elevated price again.
Yeah, I think the last thing we need to talk about, and then we'll jump into captain, vice captain to wrap it up, is Sam Sturt. So I know you're not too big on him. I'll give you my pitch about him and then see how you feel. So he's played 2 games. He's not obviously great, 37 and 62. He's in a forward line where there's not too many targets. So I think he has really good job security. I feel like it's a similar position to Van Rugen and Green in terms of role, but it just seems like if he does have like this unlimited job security, then the upside just seems a lot better than the downside, if that makes sense. Because I think, even if he's a slow burn, like a Fergus Green, like you'd think Freo will come kind of good. And like, look at Fergus Green, right? So he's scoring well in a bad team as a key forward. So why can't Sturt do it? You know what I mean? 123K. We are limited for rookies at the moment. It's like, he's not the greatest player, but what do you think?
I don't know. I think I looked it up. Before. Yeah. So he's had 7 disposals in his last game, and he had 6 disposals the game before. So his score last week, that's 62. That was with 2 goals. Like, I don't think you can expect him to be kicking 2 goals every week. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of 40s and a lot of 30s. But then again, if Freo do get better, then obviously that could be swayed as well. But I just feel like there is a high chance that there's going to be a lot of I feel like there is a high chance that there's going to be a lot of low scores in there. But I think it's more so my situation that I feel like a lot of my rookies haven't maxed out yet. So that's why I was sort of not too stressed about holding off and hoping something better comes along. What about Angwin? Is that his name from GWS? Do you buy into him at all?
I don't really. He's only played the 1 game, so I just don't like jumping on rookies that have only played 1.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're planning 2 weeks ahead and you know you need to get in a couple of people next week, then maybe you jump on. But otherwise, I wouldn't.
No, I'm not talking about getting him in as such, but I was more so thinking like maybe I just want to see him next week, along with Sincotta, and then I'm sure out of the two of them, there's one of them that'll look good to me, or maybe I even end up bringing in both of them. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the big forwards, especially on poor teams. Like I feel like Van Rugen, it was a little bit different because like Melbourne are going to get a lot of blowout wins. He's going to kick a fair few goals, you'd imagine.
That's true. Yeah.
Um, so, and the job security seemed pretty good too with their injuries at the moment. So, yeah, so I guess that's my stance on Sturt. But with the limited rookies we do have and how few there are, it might be sort of the best of what's available. Yeah, a lot of people might be forced into that hand.
Yeah. Let's talk about Callum Mills. So we need to bring him up because obviously we think he's either one going to get DPP or move back into a midfield kind of role. Give me your take on him. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I'm just thinking like at that price, it doesn't really feel like you can do any wrong. Like he's either not at this price, sorry. It looks like he's going to keep going down, but I'm just saying like he's either going to get his midfield role back right, and if he doesn't, then he's going to get DPP and be a defender. So it's sort of like, which I don't know, what's he averaging at the moment? Do you know?
He's averaging 100 odd, but his last three he's gone 87, 97, 98. It's not terrible, but it's like it's not great.
It's not great, but it's more the fact that we know what he can do. So he's probably not a pick now sort of thing, but he's a wait and see because it sort of feels like I just feel like I've been watching a bit of Sydney lately because they've been on sort of prime time, and I feel like there's a high likelihood that he will get DPP. And with the way that Sydney's sort of going, I feel like he's sort of forced into that defender role because of all their injuries. But when the McCartans come back and one of them
actually is back.
Yeah, or there you go. So like that he's not going to have to be. He was playing on Tom Hawkins last week. Like, did you see that?
Yeah, and he's named in the middle. You know what? He actually might be a low key pod.
I don't hate it. Obviously,
because like we said, what's the worst thing that can happen? He gets DPP, put him in the back line.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's.
The thing is, do we need to see a good game first?
What's up?
Do we need to see a good game first? Do you think? Or do you think you could jump on him this week? Because I'm not going to lie. I didn't really think about him because of, the fact that he was playing on Hawkins. But now that you have Tom McCartan back, I don't know who this Angus Sheldrick guy is. But it just makes sense that Mills probably moves back into the midfield. I mean, he's named there. What do you think?
But also, Mills moving into the midfield, that has to hamper Errol, doesn't it? Like that has to hurt him a bit.
Well, he's already hurt enough, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's done us dirty, but I think that's why I'm keen to. I just don't know if I'm going to have the luxury of getting rid of him. But Mills has got enough years in the bank of averaging 110 plus. He was even probably 115 or so last year, maybe slightly less. There's enough proof there that he can come good and what scores he can produce.
Well, if you look at 2021 or 2020, maybe 2020, there was one season where he had a massive score.
Oh, bro, he does it most years where he just pops off.
2018? When was it? 2022, was it? Yeah, 2022. It was last year. Have a look at round 6.
2-4. Oh my god!
I
remember that game. I think because I think I had him in my team.
Really? I never owned him, honestly. Besides maybe when he was a rookie, I think I might have had him, but
funnily enough, I think I might have picked him that week. Funnily enough, I think I picked him after the 117.
Wow.
And then he was in my team. And he went very good for the next little bit before quieting down, but it looks like he picked it up at the end. Now, I like the pick. I'm pretty keen because I think surely at some point he's going to get back in the midfield. And if he's going to be playing defense, he's not going to be playing lockdown now, is he? Like he'll be more like your
intercept type.
The guy floating around taking the mark sort of thing.
One thing we do know about
he's like an intercept sort of guy.
He's a stat pad. He's an absolute pig.
Yeah, it'd be like Tom Stewart. That's the guy I was thinking of. He'd have that sort of role if he's going to play defence.
So if we're looking at this, probably looking at like a 520k bottom out, which is about 30k less. But the upside's obviously quite huge.
A 520k Callum Mills is very appealing, I reckon.
Definitely. 550k is tempting me, even just seeing him. Where is he being named in past weeks? Let's have a look. So
I think he would be middle for some reason.
Yeah, they did name in the middle. Okay, so maybe we can't read too much into that. And then
because he literally that game he literally did start full back, like straight up full back.
Yeah, they're naming in the middle every week. Fucking dickheads. And that's another thing. Like we can't trust that coach either.
Longmire, is that Longmire on the hit list, or is he already on there?
I can't remember. He'll be on next week, depending on if I bring Mills in and he plays full back again. He'll be number one, I think. But yeah, no, Mills is tempting. Like honestly, I never really thought about it, but I'm gonna just do some while we talk. I might do some live reworking of the trades and just see what happens.
Oh, you're thinking Mills this week? You're thinking Mills for LDU?
Yeah,
pot it up.
Yeah, I think the upside and like you said, the DPP. It's tempting. They bring back a defender. You assume he would take Mills's role.
But the only thing is, the other McCartan brother, he's obviously had a few head knocks. So he's probably in doubt, I'd say, to come back full stop. But he also might, who knows. But you'd assume they're going to take a cautious approach.
They will,
so that is probably something to think about, that he might not come back.
Yeah. That's the thing. We just need to know, like, we spoke about a million different things, and Callum Mills playing fullback on Tom Hawkins wasn't one of them. Well, then why was he doing it? But yeah, it is risky. It's like,
well, if it is something to note, by the way, when the game went to complete shit last week against Geelong, he did get CBAs, right? Did you see how it said 3 CBAs? They were in the fourth quarter. They were in the fourth quarter when the game was dead, and they had to try and mix it all up. And so by that point, they had nobody in defence when they took him out. So it obviously is something they got in their back pocket to look at, because they tried it.
Yeah.
So who's the option? So who's Mills instead of this time?
Well, it'd be Mills instead of Walsh, and then Sinclair instead of Day. But
regardless, I'll be honest, I don't think this is the week to do it. 122 break even.
No, I agree. I think, I just wanted to see how it looks, but yeah, you probably need to see one good score. Yeah. And I think Walsh having West Coast makes it a bit hard to fully consider.
Yeah. No,
is there anything we want to discuss before captains, vice captains?
Maybe not. Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but have you actually budgeted your team and had a look at how much have you had a look at how much money you reckon you're going to make from your current rookies and how many because I haven't really had a good think about what sort of price range I should be going for, you know what I mean? Can we afford the 650k guys? Should I be going for the lower guys? The rookies we've got, what sort of primos can we get from those? Have you actually looked into that? Because I haven't actually calculated it, but it'd be interesting to know, because we've all got a few non-playing rookies these days, or ones that are struggling.
Yeah, I've thought Setterfield and Hopper can be an Uber primo pretty easily.
Yeah, I think Setterfield
to Radaglia too.
Yeah, I think Setterfield to Oliver is going to be a play that probably you and I both do. I would assume in a couple of weeks. Yeah,
definitely. That was my plan next week. We need some new rookies because it looks like Cowan's going to be pretty dead. I've been really lucky with Radaglia, very lucky. He's just randomly started turning it on. Break even of 13, so yeah, probably one more week and then Teakle comes in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could say I've calculated exactly how much I think, but I think roughly you could say 2 or 3 trades per primo, depending on how much you're going to spend on a primo. And I reckon I'll have like 6 trades left by the time I'm full primo.
Jeez,
Or
so
8.
that'd be pretty good for your track record.
Yeah, it's probably about right, I reckon. But never have I ever had to trade this many premiums out in a season for sure. But that being said, we've never had 36 trades.
Yeah.
And we think Sheezel could be a keeper, and Zeeble maybe.
Yeah, and obviously we'd love to have the luxury of trading guys like Errol, probably Marshall, like Marshall owners who don't have English are going to want English, and Marshall owners who don't have Darcy probably want Darcy. So
Max Gawn as well, probably going to be about low 500.
Yeah. Yeah, true. There you go. But see, someone like me, I don't think I could go max because I think English is such a priority. Like if I don't have English, I need English. Like, so if it was to get somebody, it'd have to be English, I reckon, for me. I have thought about the Darcy. I have thought about the Darcy Gawn duo, but it is a bit scary being one of the few guys, especially me, who just my rankings dead for me, mate. Rankings done. So it's just league for me at the moment. But no, I'll still have a look at ranking. But like, geez, it's pretty woeful.
Well, how many points are you behind? How many points are you up? I'm at 13,091. You're at.
I just know that I've had a lot of shit go wrong. I've captained a 50. I've captained an 80. I've captained a 40. That's got to be a lot of points right there.
That's the
50,
problem.
80, 40.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I think I've nailed captain pick every week. It's been at least 120, probably on average like 140, which has been really lucky. That's probably the difference. Like really,
that is great. I'm dreaming of that.
Yeah. I'll have a look. We'll go through it real quick.
That's the other thing. Captain options for me, they were pretty ugly at the start of the year. When you didn't have English, you didn't have Daicos, and obviously Laird had a few quiet ones. Bont had a couple quiet ones in there, and that just wasn't working. That's right. Round 1 Wits, I remember that.
Yeah, Jared Wits, and then round 2 I had. Who do I have in round 2? That's played Tubby. I had what? What does it skip to round 7? Round 2, I had Bont go 125, so that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Round 3, I had Neil go 117. Not too bad. I reckon that's probably the lowest I've had, to be honest.
Round
5, yep. Round 5, I had Daicos. No, this is not me. Neil go quite big. That was the 170. So on average, I reckon I'm probably like, what do you reckon the average would be? English.
Oh my god!
I didn't have Daicos last week, so
yeah,
the average would be like 140, 150.
Show you around 7-1 Hippo.
What, around 7?
Fuck, what an idiot your opponent is, eh? Oh, sorry, I meant round 6. I meant, sorry.
Yeah. No, that was that was stiff. That was very stiff. Like, if you had taken lead, like how big could it have been, really? Like, you would have had a relatively good score.
But in terms of trying to beat you, after I got the Roberts 19, I just knew the 126 wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have been. And obviously, Daicos going pretty big helped me a lot. But I think captaincy options are huge. Like the main things I look at is just like if it's wet weather, I'll probably try and avoid it. Obviously, opposition, like, do I think they'll get tagged? Who they're playing against? Like, you can't always predict it. Like, it's mostly luck, really, with the captains. But so Gawn's not on your radar anyway. Moving back to that, because you probably if you don't have English, you have to probably get him if someone.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Darcy to Gawn is a waste. Yeah, and maybe I don't even know if Gawn does do better than Darcy, to be honest. And then Marshall to Gawn would be a play if I knew I was priced out of English, maybe.
Mm.
Or if English was to get injured or something like that. Not that I'm wishing
Yep.
that upon him or anything.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I can relate. But for me, it's probably Oliver that I need to get injured. 596. Like if I was just looking at Sinclair maybe instead of Day. 596 is such an awkward price. Like, do you grab a Jack McRae hoping he gets DPP? Probably not. Josh Kelly's tempting, but don't know how durable he'll be. It's like I'd rather just get Walsh, I think, and Walsh and Day probably have to be the ones.
I know that Sinclair Supercoach wise hasn't been setting the world on fire, but every time I watch St Kilda games, I feel like he's been going absolutely crazy. Like to me, he looks unbelievable. Like he just passes the eye test.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I did note is Port apparently don't concede many points to halfbackers for whatever reason. So probably not the week to get him either.
Yeah. Did you always have Walsh traded in?
Yeah, at the start of this podcast, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so we'll talk about captains, vice captains. Are you gonna just go Bond into Daicos or Bond into Walsh? What were you thinking? Or no Bond? You think he's gonna get hard tag, or you think you're just gonna jump on him anyway? The VC is pretty safe.
To be honest, I think that me not having English, I feel like if anyone's got English, I feel like you got to go English. You'd be mad not to. And for me, I think that I'll take on Bont. I'll give it a go. And I'll go Bont. But then I'll go Bont into Daicos. That'll be I think the safest for me. I shouldn't feel the need to doubt Daicos anymore. Like he's proven himself enough.
Yeah, they did come out and say they were going to put some time into him, whatever that means.
So they were going to what, sorry?
Put some time into him, Adelaide are.
Oh, true. I feel like I've heard that a few times though.
To really
see
I agree. I'd still be pretty confident picking him, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? What are your captains? Like, who are you looking at?
I think what I've got right now is what I'll probably do. English into Walsh. I think Walsh against West Coast, like.
Oh, true. I forgot I've got Walsh now. Yeah,
let's have a look at what his last game wasn't amazing, 88, and then 124, 114. I think he's a lock for a 120. Does it bother you that he had 38 touches last week and went 130? You'd think 38 touches would be a bit more, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, he just looked so good. He was just everywhere, and I feel like he's just gonna do that again. Like,
you know what? The CBA's going up, like that only helps him.
You know what? You might have convinced me. This might be a Walsh into Daicos week, actually.
I don't mind that at all.
I think it's a Walsh into Daicos, or a Bont into or go Bont into Walsh. Because
my gut says that Bont gets tagged straight away. Like it's not going to be a half-time tag. It's going to be a straight Nash to Bont. I think that'll happen. Just because Bulldogs don't have any other threats. I mean, they're going to tag Treloar, probably not. Libba's not playing. It's got to be Bont. Like he's in the best form of his career, to be honest. Like 182 and then a 150 or whatever. Like it's looking like that Brownlow Bont back in 2021 or 2020? 2021. Yeah. The Wines year. It's looking like how he did back then, just playing that. Yeah, he's probably just the best player in the league. Like it's him or Daicos, you'd have to say, or Clayton Oliver, maybe.
Yeah. So you are English into Walsh? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Like I said, I just think I've got a pretty strong feeling that Nash will go straight to Bont, and Nash is a bigger body as well, so it's not going to be too easy. Bont struggled when Drew went to him. So, I think, and the fact that it's his 200th as well, they might try and rain on his parade a bit.
I spoiled the party a little bit.
Yeah, I reckon. Knowing the way Sam Mitchell coaches would not surprise me one bit. All the grubs at Hawthorn as well. Bloody double teaming for Vola when he's on 99 goals. Never
glad
forgive him.
He's let that one go.
Nah, never. We'll never let it go. What do you think about North just quietly? Like, do you think they're shit or are they decent? I don't know. Like, everyone thought they were good and they actually played a relatively good team and got humbled.
Yeah, well, who've they beaten this year? They beat Freo towards the start of the season. They beat
I think it was West Coast.
Hawthorn.
Oh, no, yeah, it was Hawthorn. Yeah. I think it was Hawthorn.
No, and they beat West Coast.
Oh, they beat West Coast?
I can't remember. No, Hawthorn beat them. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Because, Mitchell got the dub. So they beat Freo and they beat West Coast.
They had Freo, West Coast, Hawthorn the first three.
I feel like they're in the right direction anyway. I feel like they're in the right direction. They might not be superstars yet, but they're much better off than where they were.
Yeah, and they got frauds like LDU playing. So now that he's out, they might actually win again.
Definitely replacing the Simp Goat.
Yeah, just want to look at his first two games, like just to rub salt in the wounds. Like
what
I traded him in for. I traded him in for a 150, a 143 and a 155. And then 102, 90, 72. What's next? 50?
It's heading in that direction, isn't it? Yeah. I think I want to keep that mold, that I don't like picking primos from real shit teams. That's why I don't think I'm the biggest fan of Day, because that midfield could get beat up a lot this year. Like they really could. And they're going to see a lot of 60, 70 point thumpings. So realistically, how much scaling is he going to be able to get in them games? And just I feel like there's going to be a few tons where he might play really good, and you just feel like fuck, he probably deserved a bit more than that, but he's got absolutely smacked. So just nothing went Hawthorn's way.
Yeah, well, if you look at his games, so he's had the 60 in round one. That was where he had little to no CBAs. 98 in I think it was close to a 100-point loss, and then a 107 in that Geelong game on Easter Monday where they got beat down pretty bad. So what's that, like a 105 kind of average in two beatdowns? I don't hate it. I think, and obviously the 139 against North. So yeah, I think he can maybe hold his own if he keeps up that form in beatdowns, but yeah, it's still definitely a good point because they are going to get smacked more often than not, you'd think.
Yeah, fuck, it's true. And true that 98 against Sydney, that was a big L. That was a huge L.
Yeah. I think the Geelong one was as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Geelong one was too, and he looked unreal. He really did. Yeah. I don't know. For some reason, just a younger boy in that.
And Sam Mitchell as well. You don't know if the role.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like Hawthorn are rotating so many guys to that midfield. Warple, Newcomb.
Nash has taken up so many CBAs.
Yeah, Day, Nash. And
Newcomb played well last week. So does Newcomb get the CBAs that he lost today back now? Same with Warple. It feels
like Warple and Newcomb, they're more one-dimensional. Like they're sort of fixed into them positions, where Day, probably a bit more flexible, can play a few different roles.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a worry. That really is a worry. So yeah, it's one I'm still not sure on. So if anyone's looking at my trades going, this is set in stone, it's far from it, as per usual.
But the thing is, we know he's going to out-average 450K. So that's the other thing. It's like
provided the role stays.
Yeah, he might not be top 6, but he is better than 450K. And with the way our cash gen is, maybe that's good enough.
Yeah. If he averages 80% CBAs for the rest of the year, what number would you put on his average? Or what range? 80% CBAs.
I'm maxing him at 105. I don't see him going higher than that. Look, I'll probably say he's
I think he could.
You reckon?
I think he could with all those CBAs. Yeah, I think he could. Like, he was a high draft pick. He's obviously skilled. Takes contested marks all around the ground, like tackles. He's nowhere near Bond's level, but the play style is similar.
Put him on the Bond.
No. He's not on Bond's level, but the way he plays and the way he scores is similar.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, but no, I think the main question mark is the role. If that can stay, then I think he'll be a good pick. But yeah, whether it stays or not is another question.
Yeah, I don't mind the pick, and you've gotten a few players at some really good prices. Like you got Cogs bottom. You got Rosie probably bottomed him out as well.
Yeah, maybe. I think he started a bit cheaper, but yeah, missed a couple of his bad scores.
Yeah, but yeah, you've done well getting in guys at a cheaper price. Stewart, you got him in a good time.
Yeah, lucky to get him. Because have you seen his average without his injury game? He's gone. So he's gone 167, 92, 135, 111.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. So I think
he's
it's like 130.
He's probably one that you're going to end up needing to pay up for, or maybe we've just been priced out of, because you're not going to be able to get every 600k guy. It just seems impossible this year to get them all. Who knows? Maybe he pops out another 16 for us, and we all get lucky. He probably's got to trade another Brimo.
Yeah, it'd be like the 8th in a row if he does that. But fingers crossed, no one else gets injured. That's another thing. It's probably worth upgrading to players that you think are less injury prone. I mean, Walsh is kind of injury prone, I guess, but hopefully he's all over that. And I think, he's one I just want to take a punt on anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Is there anything else you think worth just discussing that it's come to your mind? Or?
Nothing comes to mind. I think everything I sort of had on my head's sort of come out, but just hopefully this week we don't have any more surprises. I will probably stick to this. If Walsh gets injured and scores, if Walsh scores sub 80 and gets injured,
as a captain,
I will be. Yeah, because I am captaining. Actually, I'm going to put all the pressure on Walsh this week. He's getting all the pressure. So, Walsh, captain.
Walsh, if you're watching.
If you're watching, Walsh, you've got the keys to my super coach. Like, you sub 80 and an injury, I will delete my super coach entry. And probably maybe jump off the Westgate and pick my bones up for me, put them to a good cause, because... It might be it, and
I'm captaining as well.
There'll be no more Fitties FC if Walsh does me dirty like old Tukey did.
Yeah, the league will be losing 2 people. So if Walsh goes sub 80,
a couple of veterans gone.
Could you imagine he scores he scores 0? Like he just gets injured at the first 10 about. He scores 0 as captain. That's well and truly. That's not only delete the app for this year. That might be never reinstall it again, like for the rest of my life.
Bro, that might be delete the YouTube channel as well. Like, we don't even want them knowing we were a part of this.
Nah. It could be bad, but I think that wraps it up. I think we've sort of touched on everything, and we've spoken about our captains, vice captains, trades, whatnot. I think over the next few weeks, guys to watch. Obviously, Oliver, Sinclair, Sicily, Mills. Anyone else you think that we really need to keep an eye on over this week?
Yeah, for me, Teakle. I want to just see Teakle this week, because I think if you got Radicalia, that might be a good time to go down. And if you don't have Radicalia and you're in a position like me and you've got just a ruck loop, you might want to maybe find a way to trade that one up, considering we've got a few donuts already, like Constable, who might be a chance to come back eventually. So you probably don't want to trade him out. Whereas if you've got a ruck loop, maybe he's someone has to go. Which that's what I'm looking at anyway. But we're going to see if Teakle can pump out like an 80 probably first. Yeah. What would be your benchmark to have it happen? 80, 75?
For Teakle?
Yeah, for Teakle at 190-ish K.
Oh, if he goes over 70, I think you have to pick him.
Yeah. Are you nervous that Lysette could take that spot back, or do you think he's pretty safe?
I think that there's potential to play both. I don't think Teakle will lose it completely. But don't bring him in until the bubble week. And as long as Lysette's not named in that bubble week, then even the first price rise should be enough to set his break even up to be nice enough to make 100K, I reckon.
Yep. No, definitely. Well, yeah, I think that they're the ones you said in Tickle. I think they're the ones I'm watching pretty closely.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that sums it up. Thanks for coming on. Obviously,
Yes.
it's been a pleasure to have you, and hopefully get a couple of the boys from the league on the channel at some point. Maybe even a couple of us at once will be a nice dynamic, and might get a few arguments going and make it for a bit of entertainment.
Definitely. I think the more the merrier. It could get a little bit juicy, and who knows how graphic it can get, and if YouTube will let us keep it on.
Yeah, the YouTube channel might be getting banned, so we'll see what happens.
That's right. That's part of the fun with this channel. It's a little bit out there and different.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for coming on, and thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you sometime during the weekend.